Okay, I think we're live. Let me double check the sound. See Slim, what's good? Yep, it all works. Okay, what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man that can play. We are back with a live stream. Get ready to come back home to where it all started, PSVR. Um, Shout out to Gamertag. I saw him in the chat. Long time no talk, my guy. How have you been? Hope everything's been good. Still watching your channel. It's just I usually have to catch replays and that kind of stuff because I work so much and I sleep so much, and I'm still sim racing and doing a lot of that. In fact, that's part of the reason why you guys haven't seen me do anything on YouTube is because I've been streaming my races over on Twitch. When it comes to low fuel motorsports, I'm starting to feel like Twitch is a better fit because they have what's called the multi Twitch, where when I sign up for a race, they'll post a link to everybody that's streaming live, and you click on that link, and it'll take you to a screen, and it'll show you multiple streams of people that's streaming at once. You can watch them all at once, or click on a particular stream, and I love it. And I'm definitely urging people who want to continue to see my LFM races live to follow me on Twitch uh, because it's that's feeling a little more home at home. Uh, when I can find time to do them, I'll still do uploaded videos here on YouTube. But the way things are feeling at the moment, I'm feeling the Twitch thing. Even though I don't get near as many views, I'm still liking the way it feels. Uh, if I don't say it today, eventually I'll let you guys know what I plan to do moving forward in terms of how I'm going to distribute the content. Because after the launch of PSVR 2, I plan to be active on all three of my channels, this channel, my Twitch channel, and especially my secondary channel, The Godfather of VR. So moving forward, I'm going to try to put the links to that channel in the description so you can subscribe to that channel because I will say that I'll say this much about what I plan to do moving forward with the content is that with PSVR, uh, if it's a highly anticipated title that's not racing related, the initial stream I will do on this channel, and then after that, it will any other future streams of said content will go to the Godfather of VR. So real quick, talking about where it all started. I bought a PlayStation VR in 2016, day one, but I didn't get to play it until Christmas because I pre-ordered it and got it day one. It was a Christmas gift to my son, and we didn't get to try it out until Christmas. Um, and the next couple of months, I was amazed by VR, but some games did cause motion sickness, and my son wasn't playing the VR, and I strongly consider selling it. In comes PSVR Frank. I discovered his channel, and because of his channel, I stayed with VR. Uh, he believed in VR. He says, just be patient. The games are going to come. He felt like the media wanted VR to fail, and and he said VR is truly amazing, which I knew that at the time. But yeah, PSVR Frank is the main. Um, I would probably say inspiration for me sticking with VR. I knew how special VR was when I first tried it, but again, between the headset not getting that much use and me getting motion sick on some of these games, in addition to some games that I wanted to see come to VR, but we hadn't gotten them yet. More racing games, more first-person shooter games, more multiplayer games. It was PSVR Frank that inspired me to stay with it, and then over the years I just took it to the next level, building multiple PCs, having multiple headsets, as you guys see this Oculus Quest 2 behind me. At first I said I wasn't going to get one, but I'm absolutely looking forward to the Quest 3 this year, as I'm hoping that the headset will have the pancake lenses as well as eye tracking that the current Quest Pro has, and I'm looking forward to using that as a PSVR headset. I'm not really concerned about what kind of standalone content we might get, but um, you know, I'm hoping to have this wrapped up by 1 o'clock because I have to pick up my son, and that sounds like plenty of time, but there's a lot to go over. So getting right to it, what this stream is going to be about is I want to talk about the games that are confirmed to come to PlayStation VR on launch day and those that are coming within the launch window. Basically, you know, I'll just read off the list because this list that you see right here in front of you is in alphabetical order. And I'll just start from the top, tell you whether I have the game or not. And if I don't have the game, I'll let you know whether I'm interested in playing the game. And if it's a game that, you know, I may show a trailer for some of these games. And, you know, time permitting, I plan to go through my Steam and Oculus library and give you guys my opinion of which of those VR games that I think will come to PlayStation VR 2 and how I think it will be received. And so, I think getting right to it, I think we've got, looking at this list right here, I don't feel like counting them, but I think it's supposed to be like 30 games at launch confirmed. And out of this list, as far as day one games, other than Gran Turismo and Horizon Call of the Mountain, most of these games, I either already have these games in one way, shape, or form on PC or on Quest, or I just may not be interested in the game, or I just may not have got around to it yet. So getting right to it, this first title right here, After the Fall, it is currently on PSVR, Quest, PCVR. This game is, to my knowledge, is currently crossplay with all three platforms, so I don't see why PSVR 2 version would support crossplay. They showed us a trailer, and I'll see if I can dig it up real quick. See what we can find. So, how long is this trailer? All right, we'll go with this little 2-minute trailer. This is through PlayStation VR. So what they did, I believe, with this trailer is show you how it currently looks and show you the enhancements on PSVR 2. Let's have a quick look. I might have to turn the volume down though, so I'm trying to watch the copyrights.
After the Fall is a 4-player co-op shooter in VR where you and your friends embark on an adventure in a frozen dystopian Los Angeles. So in the game, you fight the Snowbreak, which are the enemies of After the Fall. They come in huge numbers.
My favorite enemy in After the Fall, I would have to say, the Smasher. He has like a big frozen arm and he's smashing at you, so he kind of runs at you and it smashes like this, and then you're like, oh, I quickly need to get away.
PSVR 1 on sale for the upgrade.
All kinds of enemies that you can take down. And the goal of that is to collect juice, which is the currency that we have in this game that you use to upgrade your weapons and become more powerful to tackle higher difficulties.
So the guns can be upgraded with a lot of conventional upgrades. Think about scopes, red dot sights, different grips, different stocks. And we have the combat device, which is like a small device you can have in either hand or both. It can either like be something that fires missiles. We have this really cool saw blade device that throws saw blades.
Does look pretty good.
We've got one where you punch and there's this massive shockwave.
Firing weapons in After the Fall is chunky, meaty. We use haptics an awful lot to reinforce the player every movement that they're doing. But that is also reinforced, of course, with audio
zombie shooter
as well as the visuals.
It's 4-player co-op.
PSVR 2 supports this headset rumble feature,
I think
and this is really nice feature to have. For example, we use it when this big juggernaut.
There was a plan to add player versus player. I don't know if that's in effect yet or not. But what I was looking for was the trailer where they showed you the PSVR 2 enhancements. And I think they, in that trailer that I had saw, I think they showed you the current version and then showed you the upgraded version. But in any case, you guys get the picture. It's going to be a zombie shooter. Now, the PC version versus the Quest version, the gameplay is the same on both. The PC version of the game, the graphics look good, and I think it's what we've come to expect with PC VR. Quest, the graphics is what you would expect on Quest. The part that surprised me about the Quest version of this game is that when you shoot something, the blood is on the ground, the blood sprays all over the ground, and it stays there. I figure with the Quest being so limited because it works on a mobile processor, I figure you shoot something, the blood's on the ground, and after a few seconds, the blood disappears. No, the blood stays there. So I feel like the experience is the same. It's just the PC version of the game. It's just got better visuals. I wanted to try to say more turtle wax. Let's see here. Space Citizen, you said I don't care about the PvP, but I hear it's cool. Okay. You know what? Let me bring up this window. Let's get to this stream and bring this window up. And then pop it out. Oh shit, I think I might have closed it accidentally. Nope. Okay, here it is. I'll put it over here so it'll be a little bit easier for me to see. But if you guys find that chat is in the way, let me know and I'll move it. So, Altair Breaker, I don't know anything about that. Before Your Eyes, I don't know anything about that. Cities VR, I do, I've seen little trailers about it. It just, it strikes me of an open world builder where you just build cities. And I can't remember, I think my friends might have talked about it on Quest, how they was talking about how they, built apartments and customized them and that kind of stuff. I haven't played it, and it's just something that I haven't gone out of my way to dig into. Let me see here. Next up, I have to use my other glasses for this. Sorry, so I got to put on the super thicks. Okay, Cosmonius High. That's what I thought it said, but I wanted to be certain about that. Don't really know anything about it. Don't know if I'll look into it. Creed, Rise to Glory, Championship Edition. This game is currently available on PSVR, Quest, and PC VR. I haven't played this game in a long time. Last time I played this game, it was damn near dead. The Quest version of this game, last time I played it, was a little more active versus PlayStation VR because I can't tell you how elated I was when this game first came to PlayStation VR because we were finally about to get a player versus player boxing game. I was so excited about it. And I've done a lot of Creed streams. You can go back into my library and see it. I would say graphically, between PC, PSVR, and Quest, the graphics aren't that far off from each other, but the PC graphics naturally have the most polish. PSVR 2, I'd imagine, is going to be the same way, that the graphics are going to look a little bit better. I don't know if whatever kind of enhancements. So that's one of the games that's like that. Like any game that's on the current formats. I'm curious if the PSVR version is going to look better than the current formats. So like using this game and After the Fall as the examples. We know that the PSVR 2 version is going to look better than the current PSVR. It's going to look better than the Quest. What I don't know is if it's going to look better than the PC version. So, and if it does look better than the PC version, will it be a situation where they chose to enhance the PSVR 2 version but not the PC version? Because I'm being brutally honest, I don't know how well PSVR 2 is going to look. I keep on hearing so many great things about it, but I'm led to believe that my PC in there with a 4090 and the HP Reverb G2 headset, I think it's probably still going to give me the sharpest picture, but we'll see. Let's see here. The Dark Picture Switchback. I believe this game is supposed to be like the sequel to Russian Blood. So I think I will get that game because I did get Russian Blood. It was a game that it was fun but a little bit scary because I was still I was scared of horror games back then because horror games in VR is just too real. Let me see here. Demio, I hear a lot about this game. I think it's like a tabletop. One Speed, what's up? What's up? Can't wait for PSVR full game GT7. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get that. So Demio, I think it's like a tabletop strategy game. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and but I don't have it. I don't know if I'll go out of my way to get it. Fanavision 22X or 202X. Don't know anything about it. Don't know if I'll go out of my way to get it. Spaced Innocent. I'm so hyped for Switchback. #1 hype. First game I'll play. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Well, I'll definitely, I think I'll pick it up. And it's within the launch window. So I guess to be clear about the launch window, I guess Sony is defining the launch window as within a month after launch. And so this game should come out within a month after PSVR 2 launches. Gran Turismo 7 free upgrade for PS5 and non-VR version. I'm excited about this game. And you guys have heard me say it a million times that this game is pretty much the biggest reason why I bought a PS5. Because even though it had not been announced, I took the leap of faith that GT7 would get VR support. I screamed it from the mountaintop for years. And they just now finally confirmed it, a few weeks ago. But I always felt that it would get VR support because Kazunori Yamauchi, the head over at Polyphony Digital, had said on, I think, a couple of occasions that they wanted to improve the VR in so many words. So, I mean, you could pretty much take that as that yes, it was going to get VR support. I understand you're going to be able to play the full game online, every car, every track, which is to be expected, especially in this day and age, because there aren't any sim racing titles out there that's giving you a partial experience in VR. So in my opinion, if they can't deliver the full experience in VR, there's no point in even putting this game on PSVR 2. Midlife Kid, I just hope we get a game like The Last of Us or Uncharted. Horizon is not enough, but hype for Quest 3. I really can't comment on that because, in my opinion, hoping that we would get like The Last of Us or Uncharted in VR is no different than hoping that we would get Spider-Man or God of War in VR. I just don't know what Sony has planned. And even if they do plan it, how much of a hit would the visuals take? Because like Spider-Man and God of War, beautiful games. And I just don't think that the PS5 has enough. Hey, Kev, what's up? Resident Evil 8. Yeah, we'll get to that. I just don't know if the PS5 has enough power. Because it would be running a game twice. It would be running the game flat screen and in the headset. And I don't know. I just can't help but to feel like there might be a slight downgrade within the headset. VR has always been like that, where you see the you see the flat screen version of a game, and then you put on the headset, and then there's a little bit of downgrade within the graphics and resolution in terms of the sharpness. Look no further than, in my opinion, a game like Star Wars Squadrons. But I will say that the more powerful your hardware is, as far as PC goes, the closer it will look to the flat screen version. So let's move on. So yeah, Gran Turismo, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm still slightly apprehensive about it because the short video that they showed us, the picture didn't look razor sharp to me. It looked sharp, but it didn't look razor sharp. It looked slightly soft, but that's just one of those wait and see things. And you would think that at the CES, where they unveiled that the game was going to get VR support, that maybe they would have had some booths on hand for people to try it, being that they let people try Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm sure that if they would have had booths at CES for people to try GT7, it might have been a line wrapped around the building. Horizon Call of the Mountain, as we move on. This game, from what people have been saying, that this game is probably, in terms of its visuals and that kind of stuff, is probably the closest thing you're going to get to Half-Life Alyx. I'm looking forward to the game. The only thing that really concerns me about the game, which I might see as a slight red flag, but is not a red flag, is how will people react to the floating hands? In VR, we're already used to that. We've been dealing with that for years. Floating hands in games instead of full body representation. I think that might be a situation where if Horizon Call of the Mountain comes out, like Pavlov and Contractors are two first-person shooter games on PC. You have the choice of using floating hands or full-body representation. I think the floating hands is a little bit less taxing on the hardware. So where I'm going with this is with Horizon Call of the Mountain, if you don't have the option of going from full-body representation to floating hands, then that could be a situation where it might be a decision that was made due to hardware limitations. But I'm used to it. It's not an issue with me. I just don't know how everyone else will feel about floating hands. But I think that I do think that once people get into the game, they're going to forget about those floating hands, because I think the game is going to be just that special. Job Simulator. This game has it's pretty much on every format: PSVR, Quest, PCVR. It's one of the first VR games that I played in my home. Leading up to the release of PSVR 2, I used to go to Best Buy and try several games. And then once we opened the PSVR on Christmas, this was one of the first games that I played, because this was one of the games that my son requested. Simple graphics, simple game. Honestly speaking, for people that's new to VR, they might like the concept of it, but for us that have already played it, we just see it as, hey, it's going to be another game this part of the launch lineup. Let's see here. Kevin, you said if it can run Resident Evil 8, it can run The Last of Us, Spider-Man. Don't forget those games run on PS4, PS5 foveated eye tracking will do more than people are giving it credit for. Yeah, I get what you're saying exactly. I do believe it could run those games. What I'm trying to say is that it's not going to look, I don't think it would look exactly like you would see it on the flat screen, because the Sony exclusives are some of the best looking games I've ever seen. And they are a little bit demanding. Like the Spider-Man remaster, raw rasterization on PC, I think runs at 4K. I think, depending on what kind of GPU you have, like for instance, I have a 4090. I think raw rasterization without DLSS or something like that, I think it runs at about 100 frames per second. Now you add VR into the fold and you're rendering the game twice, it's probably going to tax the hardware a little bit. So in my opinion, I feel like the PS5 has the power that's equivalent of a 2070. So I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is I don't doubt that they could put the game on PSVR 2. My question is how much of a downgrade would it be so you don't compromise performance? Because they might have to downgrade some of the graphics in order not to compromise performance. And secondly, how would they present the game? Would it be a third person or would it be first person? So, say Half-Life Alyx is floating hands. Yeah, it is. Now, a game like, you also have to keep in mind, Kevin, that we're talking about two different type of games. Games that's built from, in the case of Half-Life Alyx, we're talking about a game that was built from the ground up for VR, and Half-Life Alyx is arguably the best looking game in VR, and it's taxing. And I'd imagine full body representation will tax the hardware even more. So I don't know. You know, you said Polyphony Digital is taking the time to 3D render all the historic and current cars starting from GT6. So all that investment, GT7 will be fire for races. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're going to see me streaming a lot of GT7, so much to the point where it may end up representing 50% of my content once all is said and done. Space Innocent. So few games do it well. I don't need VR elbows anyway. I'm used to it now, especially with me being a VR sim racer now. I'm not critical of games the way I was a few years ago, because one of the reasons why I was so critical of games is back then is there was a lot of good looking games. But when I would put on a headset and I would see a game and I'm like, okay, how would the mainstream react to this? Because at the time when we were trying to sell VR to the mainstream, when I say we, I'm speaking of content creators, there was so many excuses as to why people said they weren't interested in PSVR. We'll buy it when it's wireless, or we'll play it when they reduce the amount of cores. We'll play it when they get rid of the box. We'll play it when they get better graphics, all that kind of shit. And so that made me like, I'll put on a headset and pop into a game and I'm like, okay, how would the mainstream react to this game because of the graphics and stuff? Because that's going to be the first thing they see when they put on that headset is the graphics. That's the first thing they're going to open their mouth about. That's just the way it is. And I think Half-Life Alyx is the first game that I could probably say that if you were to look at the game on the TV screen, you couldn't tell that it was a VR game unless somebody told you it was a VR game. Whereas other games, I think maybe No Man's Sky would be a prime example. You see the flat screen version of the game, it looks pretty good. Then you see the VR version of the game, you're going to notice a downgrade. Jenna, do you think GT7 and Horizon Call of the Mountain will be a system seller? Absolutely. It sold me. That's the reason why I bought a PS5. Said I'm gonna be ninja. Oh. Okay, yeah. All right, sure. Good song. Kevin, you said GT7 will no doubt be priceless. I resisted and will play it first in VR. That's one of the reasons why I kind of haven't been streaming it lately, because I don't want to jump on the game and then start thinking about like, damn, I want to play this in VR. I want to do this race in VR. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I haven't been really putting out that much GT7 content. But I promise once PSVR 2 hits, I'm going to be doing a lot of it. So yeah, GT7 and VR was the main reason why I bought a PS5. Let's move on. Jurassic World Aftermath. I haven't played that. I think that's the cel-shaded Jurassic Park game. That's basically cartoonish. I haven't played it yet. I don't know if I'll ever get it or not. Kayak VR Mirage. I haven't played it, but I've heard some people say that it's the best looking game in VR. But then some people call it a game and then they retract it and call it an experience, but they do feel that it's it's the best looking thing they've ever seen in VR. From what I understand about that, you more or less kayaking, visiting different places. Let's see here. Kazuna Al, Touch the Beat. I don't really know anything about this game. It almost sounds like some kind of rhythm game. Midlife. I hope PSVR will help me pass my last license on GT7. I think it will. I think when it comes to I think I'll go out on the way to say it. Racing in VR is more than just immersion. Ace Combat 2, Ace Combat and PSVR 2. One speed, hold that thought, I got something for that. Oh shit! I lost my train of thought because I was trying to answer so many questions at once. Oh, what I was going to say was, sim racing in VR is not only immersive. I think it gives you an advantage because the depth. You can actually judge how far away something really is, and you can calculate how you're going to approach that corner long before you get there. Whereas if you play a game in VR, if you play a game flat screen, you can only see dead what's in front of you. You can't look around and see a curve that's way over there. In flat screen, you don't see the curve until you actually get up on it, and that could cause you to fly off the track. Whereas in VR, I can survey everything and see that the curve is like a half a mile away and get ready to, and I can decide how I'm going to approach that corner long before I get there. So sim racing in VR is not only immersive, I think it's very helpful. Raymond, I want Sony to talk about or announce some hybrid games. Lots from last gen would be great. Red Dead 2 be my number one, but a far cry from even. I think there is a possibility. We here in the VR community, we think it's a given that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to get VR support. Sony is not stupid, and neither is Rockstar. They've been watching the land. Holden Dan Socks, what's up? They've been watching the VR landscape. I've said this before, and I've said it again. Over on PC. Jenna, when do you think Sony will have their next state of play? I don't know if they will have one. I mean, if they do, great. But if they don't, it doesn't really make me a difference. I mean, I know what I need to know. Andy B, what's good? Talking about the hybrid games again. What I was going to say is GT5, we have VR mods on PC. One of them most in particular is by Luke Ross. What I noticed was when the VR mod came out, Grand Theft Auto mysteriously went on sale. And then 6 months later, when Luke Ross made upgrades to the Grand Theft Auto 5 VR mod, the game went on sale again mysteriously. So they know, Sony and Rockstar know about the VR landscape. Matter of fact, with Rockstar, they did it. When they put out LA Noire, the VR case files, which I was in the middle of playing that. I still have to finish that. So that being said, they have done that, Raymond. They have put out some past games in hybrid form, like Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. We got that in VR. We've gotten Fallout 4 in VR on PC. We've gotten Doom in VR. So all that being said, yes, I think there's going to be a market for them to bring back last-gen games and give them VR support. So yeah, I think Red Dead 2 with VR support is a strong possibility. I think we in the VR community, again, we think Grand Theft Auto 5 is a given. Let me see here. Let me see. GTA 6 will make my head explode probably. Red Dead 2 is in mind a lot of people's top 3. Yeah, definitely. Moving on with this list. The Light Brigade. No, I don't have it. Moss 1 and 2 remastered. I played Moss, And Moss 2, I understand it's a pretty good game, but a lot of people feel like the timing of its release was not good because they released this game towards the end of the PSVR generation. So, but it is a good game. You know, based on my experience with the first Moss, I probably completed about 3/4, 75% of the game, and I think it's pretty good. So I think it is a game that people will like. Craig, are you going to stream Mass Effect? Sure. Said, bro, drop a link to this article in the chat. Okay. Copy. Okay, here's the link. PLO, what's up? That's to the page that I got in front of you guys, so you guys can check it out on your own too and see what games have been confirmed. So NFL Pro Era. This game is currently on. I didn't know it was on PC VR. I thought it was only on. It launched on Quest. I know it was supposed to follow on PSVR soon, but I didn't know that it was on PC VR. I'm gonna have to check that out because I want to see how much of an upgrade the graphics are. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into that. I like the game. It is the first NFL VR game that we have. Be warned, it is not a full-blown football game. You're basically a quarterback trying to march your team down the field to score. So ultimately what happens with this game is you march your team down to score. You score the touchdown. They show the kickoff. They'll show the special teams and the defensive plays and stuff like that. And then while the other team has the ball, you sit there and watch and see if your defense can stop them and get you the ball back and so forth. Great game. I like it. I streamed it a couple of times. Next is No Man's Sky. I have this game on PC. I had it on PSVR, but I gave my copy to Titanfall Princess a couple of years ago. I sent her a PSVR, and I sent her a couple of games with it, and that was one of them. And fighting games is what she loves most, but she did like PSVR. Next up, this game right here answered a lot of questions for me. What is your most anticipated game that has not been announced? That has not. That's a tough one because there are games that I'm really looking forward to on PSVR 2 that I already have on PC. We think it's a given that Half-Life Alyx is going to come to PSVR 2. That's something I don't plan to play it, but I finally, I'm excited that people would finally get a chance to experience, which is arguably the best VR game ever. Grand Theft Auto 5 would be the other one, because if it comes to PSVR 2, we would officially be getting the online version of it, the multiplayer. Currently with the PC VR mods, if you attempt to play multiplayer, the anti-cheat will pick it up and thinks that you're trying to circumvent the game, and it'll ban your account. So currently on PC, the VR mods, it's only available. It only works in single player. That's the only way you can play it without risking getting your account banned. Pavlov. Let me see what time we got. Now Pavlov answered a lot of questions. Pavlov is arguably the best looking first-person shooter game in VR, and is arguably the #1 first-person shooter game in VR. When the announcement, I'd love to see a Farpoint too. When the announcement that Pavlov was coming to PlayStation VR 2, he announced that the dev announced that Pavlov Shack was coming to PlayStation VR 2, and Pavlov Shack is the Quest version, and you could say that the way to obtain the game at first was through side quest. I won't get into that. and then I think it moved to App Labs. And honestly speaking, I haven't played the game in a while, but the last time I played it, the game had PS2 graphics. And I'm like, why is he bringing that game and not Pavlov? And the dev said something to the effect, and I'm kind of paraphrasing him, and maybe, filling in some blanks that I didn't quite catch. But he said something along the lines of what he had planned for the PC version of Pavlov was bleeding edge. So it was almost like he was alluding to that the PSVR and PS5 would not be able to handle it. So I was like, that's a red flag right there. And then the other red flag came from the developer of Assetto Corsa Competizione. We have the PC version that has VR support, but he answered my question. The dev answered my question directly and said that the console's not strong enough. The game has too many resources. It wouldn't, they wouldn't be able to bring it to PSVR 2. But now that we know that Pavlov is coming and not Pavlov Shack, this game right here, until like Firewall or something like that comes out, Firewall Ultra, Pavlov will undoubtedly be the #1 first-person shooter on PSVR 2. There is so much content on this game. They've done so much with this game over the years. They've added zombies. They've added like a World War II part of the game where you can drive tanks, where one person drives the tank, the other one works the turret. And then Pavlov, when it comes to first-person shooter games, has the most blood and gore. Have I tried Breachers? No. I did see Rendered Reality playing it, and I am curious because that game truly looks like it's the closest thing you'll get to Rainbow Six. It looks like you can rappel up the side of buildings and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I added it to my wish list. I'm not going to go through the hassle of trying to contact developers. Def Floyd, what's up? I'm not going to go through the hassle of contacting developers and trying to ask for access to the game. I'll just wait. Coming back to Pavlov, it has the most blood and gore that I've ever seen in a first-person shooter game. You shoot someone, the blood comes right out of their body. It splatters all over the wall, all over the floor. Heads get decapitated in that game. The first time you hit somebody, their helmet will fly off. The next time you hit them, the entire head blows off. You'll see bodies laying on the ground with the entire chest cavity blown open. So, yeah, I think Pavlov is going to be a fan favorite. And so much to the point where it could remain the #1 VR game on PlayStation VR for quite a while. And that they and I'm pretty sure they're going to make it crossplay with PC. So I think hands down, if you like first-person shooter games, Pavlov is the game you want to get on launch day. And this is launch day, not launch window. So that is definitely a game, even though I have it on Quest, even though I have it on PC, I am going to pick it up on PSVR 2 because I definitely want to check it out. It's a great game. Space Denizen, free download, free alpha, easy download, contact. Yeah, definitely. Let me see here. Pistol Whip. This is one of those games. The graphics are simple. It's a rhythm game. I think, this game came about once the success of Beat Saber spawned a lot of rhythm games. So a Pistol Whip is a great game. It's a game that it gives you a little bit of a workout, especially your legs. Your legs will be sore after playing this game, but it is a great game. And I think it was a no-brainer that it's going to come to PSVR 2 because it is one of the more popular rhythm games. Moving on, Puzzling Places. Don't really know much about it. Can't say that I'll get it. Resident Evil Village. I already have this. I have this game on PC. PLO, PSVR without parole said the Alvo devs should either read. Yeah, I saw that because I watched that. That's a catchy one because I honestly feel like when they port these games over to PlayStation VR 2, I don't think it's going to be a simple, copy and paste. I think there's going to be some work involved. And then, in the case of Alvo, there is a plan, if it's not already in effect, for it to be cross-play with PSVR and Quest and I'd imagine PSVR 2. So that's going to take a little bit of work, and that's one of those situations where I don't have a problem paying $10 for an upgrade if they decide to go that route. But that's been a big topic leading up to PSVR 2 about people griping about the $10 upcharge for some of these games. If it's a game that I'm interested in playing, I'm okay with playing paying the extra $10, especially like Saints and Sinners, The Walking Dead. Sony gave us that game for free through PlayStation Plus to celebrate the birthday of PlayStation VR. That they gave us like 3 or 4 games, and Saints and Sinners was one of them. So I absolutely don't have a problem paying the $10 upgrade, which I will, even though I already have the game on PC, because I want to see the difference. I want to compare the graphics between PC and PSVR 2, and that's one of the reasons why some of these games I might be buying them a second or a third time, because I want to compare the PC version versus the PSVR 2 as far as visuals. Firewall Ultra, they need to improve gun sound effects and the truly terrible death animations. Get some ragdoll or something like that. Well, they did, as far as like when you breach a door or you blow something up, you blow something up with the grenades, they did add the ragdoll effects there. So when somebody gets blown up by a grenade, the bodies will go flying. I actually saw that happen to Gamertag once. I was playing Firewall with him a couple of years ago, and somebody breached the door, and the whole door blew off, and his body went flying. I never laughed so hard at Firewall. That was great. So I think this is one of the reasons, what I'm about to say is one of the reasons why I think that Pavlov may still be a fan favorite even over Firewall Ultra, and that is because of the blood and gore. The current Firewall right now on PSVR, in my opinion, is a great game. But when you shoot somebody, there's no blood coming out of the body. They just drop to their knees, and it's supposed to be a bleed out, but there's no blood on the ground. Whereas Pavlov, like I said, the game has got blood. As a matter of fact, let's look at that PSVR. Let's look at the PSVR trailer for it. Pavlov, PSVR 2. Let's look at this real quick. Blood all over the wall. Sharp in the PlayStation VR headset. Now, in my case, I'm being braggadocious, but because of my PC, the sharpness is not an issue. But yeah, I'm definitely going to get that for PlayStation VR. Let's see here. Let me come back to the chat real quick. I just hope more games are supported. Fitter, what's good, man? How you doing? Pavlov looks like a older brother of Alvo. I truly think that at launch, there's no question Pavlov is going to be the #1 first-person shooter game on PSVR 2 at launch. Can it sustain it? I think the answer will be yes, because I think you guys seen the blood when people were getting shot. Blood was splattering all over the wall. A lot of other first-person VR shooters do not have that stuff. Contractors, for example, when you shoot someone, the blood sprays out of their back, but there's no like decapitation. You don't see an entire head get blown off or nothing like that. When you kill them, the body just falls forward, and falls on the ground, and all the grenades and stuff go rolling all over the ground. There's no blood and gore in Firewall. I don't think there's any blood and gore in Alvo, but there's again, Pavlov has the most blood and gore that I've seen in a VR game, probably besides After the Fall. Crossfire Sierra Squad, yeah, that would be. Oh, sorry about that. Shut that off. Will be the GOAT when it comes out. I'm sure. I'm definitely interested in that game too. I'm definitely picking that game up. Moving on. Before I got off track, Resident Evil Village. I've got that game on PC. I've tried the VR mod. I've streamed it before. It looks pretty damn good. The only thing that was throwing me off about it was the cutscenes. You can't move your head around freely during the cutscenes. Your head follows wherever the camera's making you go. So it seemed to make me like slightly motion sick. But the actual gameplay itself, it looked good. It played good. Shout out to Prey Dog for the VR mod for Resident Evil Village. So I didn't have to wait for PSVR 2 to bring that to us. But it was a no-brainer that they should have given us Resident Evil Village on PSVR 2, because Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was a big hit. It was the #1 downloaded game for God knows, I don't know how many months. And a lot of people on PC were screaming about it. They wanted it. So it was a no-brainer that they had to give us Resident Evil Village on PSVR 2. Finner will be better than Pavlov and Firewall, to be honest. Firewall will be more strategic. Just hope they increase the speed a little bit. I like slow first-person shooters. Onward is probably my favorite VR online shooter because of how slow and strategic it is. And I absolutely love that it with Onward, there's no radar. You actually have to reach behind your back and pull out your tablet, to find out where your objective is and to keep track of where your teammates are. So, and if you lose that tablet, you're screwed. If you drop that tablet, you have to pick it up. It's not a situation where if you let the tablet go, it, just magically attaches to your back. You have to keep that tablet. If you drop it and you lose it, you're screwed. He said, "I'm getting a wheel for the first time in my life. I fell in love with GT7 now that I'm finally put some time into it." Absolutely. I've got, you guys seen me race before. I got about just my racing equipment alone. I've got over $3,000 into that. But yeah, Resident Evil Village, I already bought it on PlayStation 5. It was on sale. They put it on sale to get everybody ready for the launch of PSVR 2. That's definitely a game that I'll be streaming. Res Infinite. I think I've tried that before. If it's a free upgrade, from the current PSVR, I'll grab it. Song in the Smoke, I've heard a lot about that game. I'm curious about it. Don't know if I'll get it or not. Synth Riders, rhythm game. I've been curious about it for a while. Gamertag has been screaming from the mountaintop about this game when rhythm games started becoming a thing, and a lot of people were raving about the rhythm game craze. He had a lot of good things to say about the game. I might check it out. Tales of I gotta change my glasses for this, so sorry folks. Tales of Onagoro. I want to make sure I say it right. Don't really know anything about it. Tentacular, don't really know that much about it. Tetris Effect Connected. This is going to be a $10 upgrade from what I understand. I already have the game on PSVR. The reason why I also have it on Quest, the reason why I bought it on Quest is because of tracking. This is one of the games where I experienced drift. where the screen starts to move like this, and if once the screen gets like this, and you try to hit the recenter button, it does not recenter like it's supposed to. Instead of coming back in front of you, it might stop here. And next thing you know, it was one of those games where I found myself turning sideways on my couch in order to keep the game in direct view of me. I need a drink. Excuse me, folks. It's starting to get scratchy here. Sorry about the gulps. Needed that. But yes, I will get the upgrade. Even though I don't know how much more it can do for me, but I'll still go ahead and get the upgrade. I'll pay the $10 for the Tetris Effect. I loved it. Finner, Tentacular is a fun family puzzle style game where you play as an octopus and help the city civilians. Excuse me. Looks fun. I pre-ordered it. Love games like that. I'll have to watch your stream and check it out. So, by the way, the Finner, PSVR, check him out. He is an avid lover of PlayStation VR, shares the same passion that I do, and does definitely, he did a lot of Firewall streams, some After the Fall streams, so check him out and for your PSVR content. Let me see here. Now, I think I was on talking about, I skipped over Star Wars, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. I already have this game on Quest. This is one game where I don't think I'm going to buy it. They enhanced it, and I think they added a little bit of content to the game. They're charging $50 for it, and I think the game was $30 on Quest. I've already played through the original game. I did not play through the DLC, though. It's a good game. The biggest reason why I haven't come back to it is because me being a full-time VR sim racer, sim racing is never ending. The quest to get faster, you just practice and practice and practice and practice. It's just never ending. And it's not enough hours in the day for me to practice on sim racing and still try to play other VR games. So Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, that's one of the reasons why I never made it back to the DLC. But it is, in my opinion, it is an excellent game. And as far as the quest goes, I think it was one of the better looking quest games. As far as quest games that I've played, Real VR Fishing, it's probably one of the best looking games that I've seen. But I think a lot of people would probably tell you that Red Matter is probably the best looking quest game. Because Red Matter too, because they did some amazing shit with the first Red Matter. It had that game looking tremendous. Excuse me. I got After the Fall Platinum finally, but yeah, we got to jump into Firewall soon. Absolutely. PLO feels like Sony's really serious about VR this time. The excitement level for PSVR 2 seemed to have spiked after all these announcements. Yeah, the problem is these announcements shouldn't have took so damn long. Sony spoon-fed us information over the years, and it seems like the information that Sony gave us, they only gave it to us when it got forced out of them, when leaks would come out. You know, when they showed us the controllers, somebody leaked the controllers. So Sony gave us the information about the controllers to nip it in the butt. So Iron Man 2 looks crazy for Quest 2. Yeah, Red Matter 2, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see here. Moving on. Thumper. I don't think I've really... I might have tried that. I think it's an on-rails rhythm game where you got like a silver Tron-looking... what's the word I'm looking for? Sphere that moves on rails, and I think you got to avoid hitting shit and also doing it to the beat of the music. If it's a free upgrade, then I'll check it out. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Retribution. Again, I've said this before. I have Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners on PC, and I also have it on PSVR because it was a free game that they gave us. The DLC, I have not gotten the DLC because I I knew I wouldn't find time to play it because I haven't finished the original game yet. I don't even think I got even halfway through the original game. But I don't know. Well, yeah, if it's only a $10 upgrade, then yeah, I'll get it. How long do you think it will take for PSVR 2 to receive a $100 price drop? Sony is reluctant with these price drops, and they just increased the price. They increased the price of the PS5. I think as long as people keep using the COVID as an excuse, I don't foresee any kind of price drop for quite a while. Lou, what's up? Vacation Simulator. I haven't played it. I think by the time Vacation Simulator came out, I had moved on to some other shit. And you also have to keep in mind that before I switched over to VR sim racing, I used to try to keep up on the latest VR games and have podcasts talking about the latest VR games that were anticipated and all that kind of shit. So when I was in that stage, it was really hard to put time into VR games the way I wanted to, because I play a game, the newest game came out, I had to buy it, I had to stream it, so I could basically keep up with everybody else and stay on top of the VR news, because that's the one thing about being a VR content creator, is constantly having to keep up on new games coming out. And I think because of that, you don't really get a chance to enjoy these games the way you want to. New here, but I will be getting Switchback and Firewall to begin with. I know they're both going to be great games. I think the situation with Switchback is Until Dawn Rush of Blood was such a fan favorite. I believe the devs, from what I'm understanding, they wanted to do that game. And I think they wanted Sony to fund the game, but were willing to do it regardless of whether they funded the game or not. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a great game. And Firewall Ultra, yeah, that's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to see the upgraded visuals from the current Firewall. And I will say that the developers, they answered me directly. They made a tweet on Twitter about Firewall, and I commented and said that the hype is going to be the hype is going to be short-lived if this game does not have dedicated servers. And they said yes, it will have dedicated servers. So this bullshit of people leaving these games and crashing the whole room, because with the current Firewall, if the host leaves, the entire room shuts down. You got to go find another room. And people have been screaming and begging for host migration and dedicated servers, and we never got it. So we should be getting that on Firewall Ultra. We know it's confirmed. Like I said, the devs answered me directly, so it will get dedicated servers. So finding people to play with and worrying about people crashing the room because the host left and shit like that, that's not going to be an issue. Lou, you said I've held off on playing Resident Evil 8, waiting for PSVR 2 version. Love Resident Evil 7 on PSVR 1. Like I said, I've already gotten a taste of it through the VR mod, as well as Resident Evil 7. I played that VR mod as well, too. I played that for a few seconds, so I didn't have to wait until PSVR 2 to play those. But yes, but I do have Resident Evil. Actually, I got them both. I've got Resident Evil 7. I've only played that for a few minutes because that game was scary as fuck. And that was way back when PSVR was in its infancy, and I was really scared of the horror games. I've got Resident Evil Village. I just bought it on sale for PlayStation 5 a couple of weeks ago. It was only on sale for $20, which I think $25, which is a can't miss. Let me see. What the Bat? Don't know much about that game. I've seen a little bit. Probably won't get it. Zenith, The Last City. I heard a lot of good things about that game. I don't have it. I don't really see myself grabbing it. Quest will be my primary, and PSVR 2 for games I can't get on Quest. PC is still going to be my main platform, but I think PlayStation VR 2 is going to be a close second. And I said that before, not to be braggadocious, but my PC in there has a 4090, and I got an HP Reverb with a native 4K resolution. And when I play games through Steam VR, I can upscale the resolution. Like right now, I play a Assetto Corsa Competizione in 3100p. The picture is so clear, it's unbelievable. So now, let's go through my Steam library and talk about the games that I have in my Steam library that I think will come to PSVR 2. And I'm not going to include, like, some of these games that I have mods. I'm not going to include those. Let me see here. Arc Park, I've done this. I've streamed this game before. I bought it on PC. At the time that I streamed this game, it's kind of like a Jurassic Park wave shooter, but it's a beautiful game. At the time that I played it, or when I first seen it, it was one of the best looking games that I had seen. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it'll come to PlayStation VR 2. I don't know. I think it's a possibility. Atex Cybernetic, this game right here. Another good looking game, but I only played it for a few minutes because I couldn't figure out the controls and I got frustrated with it and quit. Automobile Lister 2, this is a racing game. It's not on consoles yet. This is a PC game. Now, the reason why I give this game specific attention is because the VR optimization on this game is so good that it will run on any computer. So I think that this game can run on PSVR 2. So I would like to see it come to PSVR 2. Right here, basic car repair garage, where you're in VR, you're repairing cars in a garage. I don't see why it couldn't come to PSVR 2. We've got Arkham, VR. That's already currently on PlayStation VR. But the reason why I say this is because I think I had heard a couple of rumors that there might be a sequel to this game, which I would absolutely love. This is one of the first games that I played on PlayStation VR. And it's kind of a node game where you point to where you want to go and then you'll teleport to that area. I'd like to see the sequel to this game with full locomotion, all that good stuff. But that's definitely a great game too. Let's see here. They already confirmed Beat Saber is going to come. Big screen. This game, it's not a game. Basically, you're sitting in rooms and you're sitting in theaters watching movies and trailers and stuff like that in 3D with your friends. I think the reason this game will not, the graphics are simple. It could come to the current PSVR, but I think it won't. It's supposed to, but I think the reason why it hasn't happened yet is, licensing issues. Because a lot of people show stuff on big screen that Sony probably wouldn't want to deal with the headache of, the legal headaches. So Boneworks, absolutely. I think this game is going to come to PlayStation VR. This game set the bar for VR physics. Before this game came out, a lot of people loved the magic of VR, but they were looking for immersion, better physics and stuff like that. So Boneworks was the game that came along and gave us, like I said, it set the bar with physics and everything had weight to it. So if you picked up something that was heavy, your arms was going to move slower with said object. So, like, there was one part of the game where there was a sledgehammer. You couldn't just pick it up with one hand and go tink, tink, tink. You actually had to grab it with two hands and had to, like, wind up to swing it. And it moved slowly, too, because it was supposed to be simulating weight. So, yeah, I definitely think that game is going to come to PlayStation VR 2. It hasn't been announced. Britannic, this is a cash grab. I think this was a game that somebody created on their PC, but they gave it VR support. Now, the reason I bought this game is because I was fascinated with the White Star ships, the White Star line, you know, the Olympic, the Titanic, and then this third ship, the Britannic. This ship was commissioned as a hospital ship, and it was supposed to be like the most luxurious and the most advanced out of all the ships. It happened during the breakout of the First World War. In any case, this experience lets you go through the entire ship as a hospital ship and how it was and what it was meant to be as a commercial ocean liner before it was acquired by the British government and basically, you know, deployed in the war. Let's see here. Excuse me, folks. Standalone did not triple it. Yeah, I missed a lot of these comments. Sorry, because I don't have the window up here. Because as soon as I bring it up right there, as soon as I click on one of these games, it's going to disappear. Let me see here. Going back to PLO, it took me a year to finish Resident Evil 7. Yeah, that was scary. Getting what the bat, it's a bat where you control your hands as bats. You do different activities. Yeah, I did see that, a little bit of that trailer on PSVR without parole. Lou, PSVR 2 will revive AAA gaming. Right there. You just said it right there. That is the biggest reason why I'm excited about PSVR 2, because the focus had been on Quest games these past couple of years. So we've been getting a lot of games with these rinky-dink graphics. PSVR 2 is going to give devs another revenue stream, a huge revenue streams. So a lot of these games that's going to be built for PlayStation VR will be ported to PC or vice versa. So devs are going to get back to developing these quality games that I took for granted years ago. The Lone Echoes and shit like that. The kind of beautiful VR games that I took for granted because I found a way to criticize them because they didn't exactly look like, you know, they didn't look exactly like a flat screen game. Alakazam, yeah, I would love The Last of Us in VR, even multiplayer. Lou, you say, yeah, PSVR 2 is poised to raise VR gaming to a new level. Sure, hope Sony will support hybrid gaming. Yeah, I do hope they practice what they preach because they are encouraging devs to make their games hybrid. So let's see if Sony can lead by example. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now, I don't know if this will get VR support, but I think it's a possibility because at one of the state of plays, it was rumored that this game might get VR support. It was rumored that it could be shown at the VR state of play, the PSVR state of play. And I think this might be one of the reasons why Sony is trying to block Microsoft from acquiring Activision, because let's face it, if Call of Duty were to get VR support, it's a wrap. Everybody and their mother is going to run out and get a PSVR 2 headset. It's a system seller. So that being said, I think that's part of the reason why Sony might be trying to stop Activision from falling into the hands of Microsoft, because it might be something that they might be possibly working on. We did have a Call of Duty experience. I think with Call of Duty, I think it's Call of Duty Advanced Soldier, one of those games. There was the Jacko mission in VR. You had to own the game to access the mission, though. City car driving. Another one of these, like, rinky-dink games. Maybe it'll come. Maybe it won't. Contractors. I don't see any reason why it couldn't come to PlayStation VR. The question is, you know, I have the same question for this game that I have for Pavlov. How would they integrate all the platforms with PC and Quest having mods? So, but yeah, I think it's a strong possibility this game could come to PlayStation VR. When it comes to first-person shooters in VR, the big games are Onward, Pavlov, and Contractors. Those are the big games. Let's see here. Crisis Brigade 2. I think that might have already come to PlayStation VR. It's a little bit of a wave shooter. But it's a decent looking game. I played it a little bit. Didn't dive too deep into it. Let's see here. F122. I don't think that this game will get VR support, but I think the next year's game will get VR support on PSVR 2. F123. I think that one would get VR support because the VR state of this game launched in a bad spot. The graphics was never the issue. It was the performance. Once they got that squared away, straight, and I've been able to run this game on my secondary computer. The computer in there with the 4090, that's a given. Even when this computer that I'm sitting at, it currently has a 3080, which used to be in that computer. This computer used to have a 3070 in it, blah, blah, blah. It could run. So I have no doubt in my mind that F123, I think it could run on PlayStation VR 2, and I think it will get VR support. Fallout 4, that's a strong possibility, being that they gave us no, wait a minute, I forgot. Bethesda, as they call it, is owned by Microsoft now. If Microsoft does not get in the way of it, yes, I think this could come to PSVR 2. The original PSVR would not have been able to handle this game, but I think it's, Bethesda don't seem to have a problem giving old games VR support. So if Microsoft doesn't block that move, I think you could see Fallout 4 on PSVR 2. I played this game for a few minutes. Didn't really do much for me, but I'm still glad that we got it. Five Nights at Freddy's, yeah, I absolutely believe this will come to PlayStation VR 2. Let's see here. The Forest. I have this game. Because we're looking at my Steam library. So all these games that I'm showing you, I have it. I don't know. It was a decent looking game, and I heard good things about it, but I just didn't give it enough. I just didn't play it enough. This game kind of broke my heart. This is a first-person shooter game set during the Second World War. I thought it was one of the better first-person, as far as the visual goes. It was one of the better-looking first-person shooter games. This game is pretty much dead. You have to put bots in there. If you play this game, you got to put bots in there. This game, I doubt would come to PlayStation VR. I don't know. But this game was intended to be the Grand Theft Auto of VR. Gang V, I did a stream on it before. I indirectly got a key from the developer from this game. Basically, the developer sent my friend Ham like about 4 keys, and he gave one of them to me. Golf Club VR, I don't see this game coming to PlayStation VR, but the reason why I clicked on this is because I do see everybody's golf coming to PlayStation VR 2. The question is whether they'll give it VR, whether they'll give it online support or not, whether it'll be, online multiplayer. Gorilla Tag, this game, I don't know how in the world they did it, but this game is a free-to-play game, and it's already generated $26 million in revenue. And I think it had like 700,000 monthly users last month or something like that. This is in my opinion, it's a simple game with PS1 graphics, but it's skill-based because basically you have to try to navigate up trees and stuff like that, like a gorilla. And it's a cool thing to watch, but it's something that's really hard to master. Maybe it'll come to PlayStation VR. I think if people could get past the graphics, they would like it, but I think they might get put off by the graphics. I think that's going to be one of the bad things about PlayStation VR 2 is that every game that comes to PlayStation VR, I think people are going to expect it to look like, Miles Morales or something. GT Bikes, no, I don't see this coming to PlayStation VR. Grapple tournament? I don't know. Guardians? Possibly. This is a decent game. Half-Life 2? With a VR mod? I don't think so. Half-Life Alex? Absolutely. I think this is coming to PlayStation VR 2. LA Noire, the VR case files. I don't know if they'll go out of their way to put it on PSVR 2, but I don't see, I wouldn't see anything wrong with it. Because this is a PS3 360 game that got VR support, so this is one of the games where it looks exactly in VR like it does. It looks exactly like the flat screen game, so you wouldn't be suffering any kind of visual downgrades going from flat screen to VR in this game. So I don't see any reason. This game, Medal of Honor, Above and Beyond. This is a game that I would like to see come to PSVR 2 because I really like the multiplayer of this game. To go a little bit more in depth in this game, let's go to the store page and see if I can find a trailer to show you guys real quick.
Well, shit. How bad have things gotten?
The German occupation has turned every neighbor into a possible enemy.
We need more resistance members, but that's much easier said than done.
Drop your weapons. Make any move and we shoot.
Please tell me you brought bazookas.
Boom.
Okay. That's a piece of shrapnel.
We had to report for the draft.
It was something we had to do.
Connaissez deux personnes, c'est une de trop.
You want to hear the rest of the story?
We all know it's going to be a tough job ahead.
Where's my sister?
But it's good for us to be together. That's all we can ask for.
Now, this game, it's one of the better looking VR games, but the two criticisms that this game took, one is you saw the character models. Some of them, their eyes look strange. Their eyes look lifeless, like somebody put golf balls in their heads. The other criticism that this game took is that it was too many load screens. They might instruct you to do something where, like, they'll just tell you to walk over to the table and pick up something, and you pick it up, and then you get a load screen, and it says victory while it's loading. So a lot of people complained about the load screens, but I think this was one of the, all in all, I think it is one of the better looking VR games. And I would say that, there is a story to this game, but I think the premise of this game is for you to experience the Second World War through the eyes of the soldiers who actually fought. You'll be doing missions in this game, land, sea, and air. And there was parts of this game where I was like thinking to myself, holy shit, imagine being a soldier and have to go through all this damn shit. But I think the multiplayer of this game is one of the best looking multiplayers that I've seen in VR, but the game is dead. Nobody plays it. I think the one thing, the file is huge on this game. the file is 175 gigs for this game. People were wanting them to bring this game to the Quest, but the way in the beginning, they made it sound like the file was going to be too big to bring it to the Quest. But they did do it. They shrank the file down to like 60 gigs or some shit like that. No, or 40 gigs or something like that. But the thing about it is, if you play this game on your Quest, you basically, and you have a 64 gig Quest, you have to wipe out all your games. You have to delete all your games in order to make room to put this on here. I don't know if the multiplayer on this game is crossplay between Quest and PC. I think PSVR 2 can give this multiplayer some life. So I think it will come to PSVR 2. I hope it comes to PSVR 2 because even though I played the multiplayer with bots, I did like it. Let's see here. No Man's Sky has already been confirmed, so I really don't need to say much about that. Phasmophobia is, I think, almost like one of these poltergeist type horror games. So I think you work for one of these companies that come in with all the crazy equipment, you know, recording movement of ghosts and shit like that with the infrared cameras and special mics and shit like that. And you basically got missions to go inside a house, take pictures, record audio, whatever you do. It's a 4-player co-op game. And these houses do have ghosts, demons, whatever you want to call it, and they will kill you. So, yes, it's a scary game. I think this game could possibly come to PlayStation VR. I'd like to see it come to PlayStation VR. PokerStars VR. This is a game that's supposed to come to PlayStation VR. I talked to one of the, I believe, like, one time I was playing the game, and they had, like, administrators or ambassadors, whichever you want to call them. They had live people in the game that was going around the casino making sure nobody's being unruly, and if they were ejected from PokerStars. And I talked to one of the people in there, and it's in one of my streams. I talked to the person live, and they said that this was supposed to come to PlayStation VR. But I think Sony might have changed their mind because because of gambling. I think Sony don't want to come nowhere near that shit because Sony had a poker game before on PlayStation VR 2. I bought the game. Next thing you know, the game turns up as unavailable in the PlayStation VR store, and the copy that I bought, I couldn't launch it. It wouldn't let me play it. So there isn't any reason why this game can't come to PlayStation VR because it's on the Quest. So this game could even come to the current PlayStation VR. But like I said, I think Sony don't want to deal with any kind of legal headaches of this because it promotes gambling. Premium bowling. I do think this could come to PlayStation VR. As far as bowling game goes, we have this game. It is available on Quest and PC. It looks much, much better on PC because you have the lighting, you have the reflections. So it definitely feels much, much more like you're inside a bowling alley. I think this game is compatible. I think it is crossplay between Quest and PC. There's only one other bowling game, and it's on the Quest called Forever Bowl. So as far as PC goes, I believe this is the only bowling game available on PC. So I definitely think this is a game that could come to PlayStation VR. Let's see here. This game is a couple of years old. I said I got to go to practice. I'll be sure to check out a video when I get done. See you, Link, and everyone. All right, Fenner, appreciate you popping in. This next game, Now, whoever said that they wanted Ace Combat 7 in VR, this is your game right here. I think this game was made in response to Ace Combat 7 because when Ace Combat 7 first came out to PlayStation VR, a lot of people complained that there was only 3 missions, and they misled everybody into thinking that the full game was playable in VR when it wasn't. There was only 3 missions. So I think they made this game with the intentions of giving people a full game in VR. Now, it doesn't have a protagonist with cutscenes or anything like that. Basically, you're flying in a ship, you're getting your orders, they're telling you what you got to go attack or what your objectives are. Let's.
Enemy aircraft shot down! Go! Bombs away! We've got hostiles moving to engage. Hope I bag a few more kills today. Hitman 1, Monarch and President, ready to roll. Bandits right on me! Flash 1! Missiles locking on! Evading! They're on us, Monarch! Evade! Bandits shot down! Ground target destroyed. Target hit. Bandits mine. Hostile taken down. They're still going. Let's finish it.
This is the game right here. So I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but there's 21 campaign missions on this game. A full-blown fighter game in VR. Single player. I wish it had multiplayer, but they still gave us a full game. And I think this game only cost $25 when I bought it, if I'm not mistaken.
He's engaging me. Enemy aircraft shot down. Go! Bombs away.
So that game right there was well worth the money. I didn't finish the game, but what I did play of it, I loved it. Let's see here. What else we got? So I'm just trying to look at games that I think that haven't come, but I think they will come to PSVR 2. Let's see here. Survive 13. I don't know if that's been announced for PSVR 2 or not. This is another co-op like zombie type game, and it is a good looking game. Check out the trailer. You know what? Now that I stop to think about it, I think this game is out on. I think it just came out on PlayStation 5, and I think it got a little bit of criticism because I think Ryan Hall said he felt like the game didn't look good. But yeah. possibility that that game come to PlayStation VR. Let's see here. We already got Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. This game, possibly. This is War Dust. This game right here is the closest thing you will get to Battlefield in VR. This is 32 versus 32 multiplayer. Let's see if they got a trailer here. Now, I think Sierra Squad, that's coming to PlayStation VR 2, has helicopters and stuff like that in it, but I don't know, as far as the multiplayer goes, I don't know how many, what's going to be the limit. But this game is 32 versus 32. There's helicopters, there's jets, there's tanks, ATVs. So like I said, you know, on PC right now, this is the closest thing to Battlefield in VR. Westworld Awakening? I don't know. It was a decent looking game. This is from Survios, the makers of Creed.
Here's to the heroes and the villains, the saints and the sinners. Here's to the dream built for us all. But for those who awaken, here's to breaking this world.
That's a possibility, especially with this game being, I think, connected to, I think this is a show on HBO. I think that's a possibility. And so, now this game right here, I think this game might have been going through all kinds of problems. This is Zero Caliber, another first-person shooter game. It does not have player versus player. It is a four-person co-op game. Player versus player was supposed to come. Now, from what I'm understanding, the history of this game, what they were planning was to bring this game to PlayStation VR, and once it gets to PlayStation VR, I guess the plan was to bring it to Quest and then make all three platforms crossplay. It has not materialized like that yet. The game has not come to PlayStation VR, and they kept promising everybody everything's fine, yada yada yada. Whenever people were asking them, what's the deal? They keep saying everything's fine. It's still on track to come to PlayStation VR, and it never happened. The Quest version of this game looks different than the PC VR game, and it was met with not that good of reviews, so to speak. I would like to think that this game is going to come to PlayStation VR 2 because of how much more power the PS5 has, along with PSVR 2, as I think PSVR 2 will be able to handle this game. We can take a quick look at the game, because I think shooter games
Bet on this, look up to the cloud.
thanks for that information that my mic is low and you guys are having a problem hearing it over the videos, but that's okay because I didn't want to talk over the trailers anyway. Now, with this game, what separates this game from a lot of other VR first-person shooter games is that you can accessorize your weapon on the fly. For instance, you can take a regular assault rifle. There's points in the game where you can see attachments laying on tables, and you can grab a scope off the table and attach it to your gun right then and there. Or you might see a silencer and you can attach it to the barrel of your gun. So you can add and remove attachments to your weapons on the fly. So I think that's one of the things that separated this game from others. So we're going to go through my Oculus library real quick and then show you my library there, and then we'll wrap it up. So I already showed you guys After the Fall. Asgard's Wrath. Show you guys a trailer for that. That is a strong possibility of this game coming to PlayStation VR.
Mine is no ordinary forge, and this is no ordinary steel. You may be a god, but to become legend, you must do battle as mortal heroes. A spellcaster who wields arcane powers. A rogue, fearless in the face of danger. A warrior, fueled by vengeance. Call upon your immortal power to transform beasts into companions. For none can survive this path alone. Destiny waits for no one. Not even a god. Answer the call as guardian. Eternal glory awaits.
Now, the developer of this game is Sanzaru, and Oculus bought them. But this is a single-player game. It ran its course. The game is sitting on the shelf doing nothing. Why not bring it to PlayStation VR and give it a second life? I think that's a strong possibility. Let's see here. Blade and Sorcery. Show you guys a trailer for that. I love this game. I do think this is a strong possibility. This game could come to PlayStation VR. So yeah, I think that's another game that could come to PlayStation VR too. When Blade and Sorcery came out, PlayStation VR people were aware of that game and they wanted that type of game and they were begging for that game to come to PlayStation VR, but they had no plans to bring it to PlayStation VR. It is on Quest, but they got something close with Swordman VR. Now, Blade and Sorcery, I love this game because you can use magic or weapons to kill your enemies. And when you use weapons, you can dismember enemies. You can slice their legs off with a sword. You can slice their arm off. You can slice their heads off. You can use magic to control weapons. One time my son played it, and he was using magic to make a couple of he had 2 axes, and they were spinning in the air, and he sliced this enemy up. He sent the axe right at his enemies, and it sliced them up like lunch meat. So I think that's a possibility that could come to PlayStation VR. I think this game could come to PlayStation VR because if you guys remember Blood and Truth, this was Oculus's version of Blood and Truth. I liked it. So let's take a look at that trailer real quick.
Thank you for flying with us today. The captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. Please remain seated, get ready for takeoff, and enjoy the flight.
An operative must first be skilled in the art of deception. Once mastered, this ability can be used to harvest intel and build trust with suspects. An operative must learn to rely on their team. Helping each other may be the only way out of a hostile situation. And remember, there's always another way. Operative. You're going to need it.
Yeah, so many possibilities. FR, what's good? So yeah, that's another game that could come to PlayStation VR. This was an Oculus exclusive, but again, this is a single player game that is just sitting on the shelf doing nothing. So I think it's a strong possibility that yes, that could come to PlayStation VR. Let's see here. Going through my library. Lone Echo 1 and 2. So I think that's a possibility. I'll show you guys the trailer for Lone Echo 2.
Jack? I think he can hear me.
This is by Ready at Dawn.
Now here's a sight for sore eyes. Good morning, sunshine.
What happened to me?
We were on the Estrella, still trying to wrap our heads around the fact we'd just, time traveled, when you started crashing. Let's have a look around, see what we can find. This place is massive. What the hell happened here? It's locked! Dad! They're everywhere! We've left us!
What this could mean.
A solution. You may have just found the
key.
All right, Jack.
FTL engaged.
This particular game right here, Lone Echo 1. So I played most of Lone Echo 1. I got stuck. And I'm not going to lie. I went to YouTube to find out how to get past the part where I was stuck and ended up watching the rest of the story. Lone Echo 2, I played about 3/4 of it. And when I had to build a new computer, I lost all my saves. And I don't feel like starting all over again. But the only... Now, here's the problem I see with these games possibly coming to PlayStation VR 2 is that one is Oculus owns them. This game was developed by Ready at Dawn. Ready at Dawn is the developer that developed the Order 1886. Oculus owns that studio now because Oculus bought them, or Facebook bought that studio. So my question would be, if they sent the single player games over to PlayStation VR 2, I could see that being a strong possibility. The question is would they send the multiplayer with it? Because the multiplayer is separate and it's free to play. So, but the multiplayer is on PC and it is on Quest, and they are cross-play. I would say that if they were willing to, at least the multiplayer, if they were willing to put it on other platforms, it would already be available on Steam. So that's the one game that this is the one game that I would like to see go to PlayStation VR, but I'm not sure it'll happen. But yeah, the single player, Lone Echo 1, Lone Echo 2, both of them are just sitting on the shelves doing nothing. Lucky's Tale, I can see that going to PlayStation VR too. Now, from what I understand, this is where Microsoft got Super Lucky's Tales from. If you guys remember, when Phil Spencer promised in 2017 that High Fidelity VR was coming to the Xbox, this was supposed to be one of the launch games. But because the VR never materialized, they just named it Super Lucky's Tale and gave you a flat screen version of the game. So I don't really need to go into trailer. Onward? I don't know. But I will say that right here, I don't know. I don't know about this one too. But I'll show you guys. This is basically Fortnite in VR. Really expanded this game. Now, here's the problem with that game. They've really expanded this game. In the beginning, it was Fortnite. And the difference is you could climb up buildings, and every player had like a jetpack, so they could glide off of buildings. The big problem with this game, you know what? It could. You know what? Now that I stop and think about it, it could come to PlayStation VR because, again, Facebook bought the studio that developed that game, and I believe the game is still available on Steam, so it's still a strong possibility. So So yeah, population 1. That's a strong possibility. So I got to wrap it up here pretty soon. PSVR 2 should get Project Wingman. I totally agree. I think it's a strong possibility. They're not bound by anything. The only thing I think would stop them from bringing this game over to PlayStation VR 2 is if they wanted to spend the money to port it over there. Let me see here. Shadow Legend already came to PlayStation VR. Racket Fury Table Tennis? It's my favorite. As far as table tennis games, it's my favorite. Now, this game, if I'm not mistaken, I think this game is already currently available on PlayStation VR. The problem is it doesn't have the multiplayer. That was one of the problems with some of the games that would come from PC over to PlayStation VR. And like Raw Data is one of them. What was crazy about Raw Data is they brought the game to PlayStation VR with no multiplayer, but it cost more than the PC version, even though you were getting less. Let me see here. Onward, this is my favorite first-person shooter in VR. Again, Oculus or Facebook bought the studio that developed this game. So this particular game could still come to PlayStation VR 2, but whatever they're working on right now, that one I'm not sure about. Now, to answer your question, PLO, about whether exclusivity would hurt VR, I think that was a non-issue. 5 years ago, I think that was a non-issue because I think a lot of hardware limitations, I think, was the big issue back then. There was a lot of games that was on PC VR that would not be able to run on PlayStation VR because the PS4 was too weak. This generation, exclusivity may possibly be a problem, but the only two entities Where as far as exclusivity is concerned, are going to be Sony and Facebook. Because even though Facebook is in a lot of trouble right now with, with layoffs, they did some layoffs a while back and stocks plummeting and all this kind of shit. Basically, them and Sony were the only ones that were really putting out exclusive games in VR. So this generation, yeah, exclusivity could be an issue because there might be a lot of games. Like, for instance, Resident Evil Village. I think that's going to be a timed exclusive on PSVR 2. I think they're going to have the exclusive rights to this game for maybe about a year, and then they'll bring it to PC officially. But it doesn't matter to me because I got the VR mod for it, but I'm just using that as an example. So we're almost done here. Phantom Covert Ops. I think that's a strong possibility. Because this is another single-player game. And I believe this was an Oculus exclusive. So to describe this game is basically Splinter Cell from a kayak. I played this game and I loved it.
Gear up, friend. It's going to be a long night.
We're still pretty much waiting for the sequel to this game, but yeah, I think it's a strong possibility this game could come to PlayStation VR as well. Racket Fury showed that one. Sniper Elite, we've already got that. We've already got Shadow Legends. We've already got Space Junkie, Solaris, Star Trek. We got Vader Immortal. This game, I do think it's a possibility it could come to Thrill of the Fight, because for a while I was doing these streams. Cheap game too. It's only $10. This game, I feel, is the best boxing game in VR. Cyber Dragon, what's good? Now, this game was developed by one man, Thrill of the Fight. And a lot of people love this game. It's only $10, like I said. It's only $10. But people were screaming for multiplayer. And I saw an interview with the developer, and he said the problem with multiplayer for this game is that he would have to tear it all the way down and then rebuild it. And so basically, we're waiting for Thrill of the Fight 2. He's supposed to be working on that, and I think it was supposed to come out in 2021, but it hasn't happened yet. So I think it's a strong possibility that the dev may be waiting for PSVR 2 so he can release it on all platforms. Now, from what I understand, Thrill of the Fight 2 is supposed to have the multiplayer. So so yeah, I think it's a strong possibility that could come to PlayStation VR as well. It's a it's a room scale game, but the good part about it is you really don't have to move around that much because the opponent, he'll come to you. But once you start kicking his ass, he'll start backing up. You know, he'll take a couple of steps back if you start kicking his ass. You see here. And I think that's it. Yeah, because we've already got Vader Immortal. Oh, you know what? Stormland, even though this is an old game, and it looks old, it's possible this could come to PlayStation VR. And I'll tell you why in a second. Start from the beginning.
The signal was too perfect. Too paradoxical to ignore. A planet 12 light years away, predicting our future. It called us here. But we weren't the only ones who came. The Tempest came here for the Spire. Some say it's older than the galaxy itself. That it can alter time and space. But if that old rock can perform miracles, it's in no hurry. It's up to us now.
So yeah, that is Stormland, developed by Insomniac. Whether it's an old game and it has shown its age. If you see it now, it does look a little bit old, but it still looks good. At the time that it came out, it was one of the better looking VR games that I had ever seen. Whether this game comes to PlayStation VR 2 or not, all depends on whether Oculus or Facebook owns this game. It was developed by Insomniac as an Oculus or Facebook exclusive, Meta exclusive, whatever you want to call it. But this is another single player game that's just sitting on the shelf doing nothing. Actually, take that back. I think this game has multiplayer, but you had to play so much of it. No, this is internet not required. Okay, single use and co-op. I don't know what the co-op part of it is. But in any case, so from the single player perspective, it's just sitting on the shelf doing nothing. And when Insomniac was purchased by Sony, if Insomniac owns this game, then Sony owns this game now. But if Meta still owns this game, that's where I'm not sure if it would come to PlayStation VR or not. So it all depends on who owns it. Cyber Dragon, I saw your comment about one of your favorite streams was when I played Diver and all that shit talking was going on. I don't know, Creed Championship Edition or whatever it is coming to PlayStation VR 2. And when that happens, I'll check with Diver if he's getting a PlayStation VR 2. I'll tell him we got to renew the rivalry, and we got to fight again. And so with that, I got to get ready to boogie on out of here because I've stayed on here about an hour longer than intended. I've got to go pick my son up. But I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. I expect to get hit with some copyrights, so this might end up getting blocked on the replay. Um, so, um, so to tell you what I plan to do moving forward in terms of content, I plan to be active on all three of my channels. Um, the way I'm feeling right now, live LFM races may stay on Twitch. LFM videos will stay on YouTube. GT7 definitely. So I'm looking to do maybe 2 GT7 streams a week. That'll be on the main channel. ACC, now that's where things are a little bit murky. Like I said, live LFM races, I might keep those on Twitch and keep the uploaded videos on YouTube. We'll see how things go. Other sim racing games will stay on this channel as well, Automobile Institute, what have you. Now, when it comes to the other VR stuff, any highly anticipated VR games that comes to PlayStation VR 2, I will do the initial stream on this channel, and then after that, I plan to move them to my second channel, The Godfather of VR. So while we're at it, let me put a link to my second channel in the description, and make sure you sub. So this is my secondary channel right here, The Godfather of VR. Let me put a link to that channel in the comment section. There it is. That is the link to my secondary channel, The Godfather of VR. So initially, as I was saying, any highly anticipated games will be on this channel first, and then after that, they will move to this channel. So I've been trying to get active in this game. As I'm currently, I was currently working on Medal of Honor. You can see here I've done several streams on Medal of Honor, and I want to finish this game before PSVR 2 comes out. I'm just about done. So with that, I think it's time to go ahead and boogie on out of here so I can head out and pick up my son. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to PlayStation VR 2. And as far as that goes, PlayStation VR 2, Sony cannot promise that the headset will be delivered on the 22nd. They've given everybody about a week's window. And because of that, I can't give you guys a concrete date. But what I will say is I've already talked it over with Craig Harris. Once I get the PSVR 2, I will do a special live from Wakanda and do an unboxing, and Craig Harris will join me live. Basically, he'll be there to, in the Discord or whatever. He'll be watching the unboxing live, and then I think, he'll probably present some questions to me along the way. And then from there, we are looking to bring Live from Wakanda back. And so Craig will be my co-host, and we're gonna get together and work out the schedules. I think when we did it before, I did the show on Saturdays around 11 o'clock. So I want to look to doing it around that time, 11:30. But I'll keep you guys posted. You just subscribe? All right, cool. Appreciate it. Excuse me. I want to try to finish Medal of Honor this weekend. So be on the lookout for that stream. It may not happen until sometime tomorrow because once I get back, you know, I'm going to pick up my son. Once I get back, he's taking this computer. Because, guys heard me say it, got 3 computers. Sim racing on that one. The one in my bedroom is for streaming, although I do play games on it. But this one right here is more or less for my son. So he has a computer to play on and we're not in each other's way. So the game Medal of Honor is downloaded on this game, so I have to on this computer, so I have to play it on this computer. But I will try to find time to finish this game off this weekend. I think I only got a couple of missions to go. So yeah, keep it tuned in. The Godfather of VR, where I'll be doing everything else, VR, shooters, all kinds of stuff. Chill out on Poker Stars, that kind of stuff. So, all right, folks, I am going to hit the road. We will see you soon. I'm definitely going to stream something later. I don't know what on what channel. Hell, you know, I might. One of the things that crossed my mind is possibly playing Alvo or even Firewall. So we could give PlayStation VR 2 its proper goodbyes. But it'll definitely be something. So I've been rambling forever and ever and ever. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you sometime again this weekend, later on this weekend, or later on today or sometime tomorrow. But until then, everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until then, you guys all know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king. And deuces. We'll see you all soon. Everybody have a good one.